Welcome back. I hope you're well. In this video we're going to be looking at training. Training is an important part of a data protection and privacy framework, and it's also something that the regulators look for in the event of a breach. So today we're going to be looking at why training is important for a framework, what kind of training or an organisation can be doing, and who within their organisation should be being trained. As always, if you find this video useful and you find the content useful, please do give us a like, give the video a share, and if you have any questions, please feel free to comment down below as well. Training is one of the most important aspects of any data protection and privacy framework. Training is about making sure that your employees and your staff and also your processes are aware of the importance of not only the regulation but also of best practice. So training can be around access to systems, it can be around the management of information, it can be around making sure that people understand how to process and receive subject access requests. But training should be provided to employees of all levels, regardless of where in the organisation they work. If an employee has access to personal information or has access to your computer systems, then really you need to be making sure that they're being trained. There have already been cases where the ICO has levied extra fines and taken enforcement action against companies who haven't carried out appropriate training and awareness for their employees. It's also one of the first questions that the ICO asks in the event of a breach. When they come into an organisation, they always want to know what training has been done, who has been trained, and if there's a record of the training that's been done for the employees that were involved. When you're looking at who you should be training within your organisation, the simple answer is that everybody should be trained. Anybody that has access to personal data really needs to be made aware of, at the very least, the very basic principles of looking after information, data protection, GDPR, and even information security. You will find that most organisations have different tiers of employees, and those employees will have access to different levels of information. What's right for one level of employees may not be right for everyone. You don't need your frontline staff, so if your frontline staff, for instance, are working on the phone, to understand the intricate details of the regulation and the principles and how to handle subject access requests, for instance. But what you do need is for your frontline staff to be aware of the implications of data protection and why it's important that they follow those requisite rules within your organisation. You then need to look throughout your organisation, so you need to look at the people that are handling potentially special category information. You may want to look at your HR teams, you may want to look at your finance teams, you may want to look at your customer relations teams, for instance. Those teams that are handling more intricate, more in-depth information, and those people may need specific and targeted training. A good example of this is training the people that manage your subject access requests and the people that handle those requests. It's training people that carry out your data protection impact assessments. And of course, if you've got a DPO, then you need to make sure that your DPO is being appropriately trained. So you also need to make sure that they're having their own specific training. As a good rule of thumb, every employee should be trained at least on an annual basis, and some companies find it easier to do general e-learning for everyone in the first instance and then have more targeted training, as we've said, for specific departments and specific individuals who are handling more sensitive categories of information. There are a number of different ways that you can train your employees, and depending on the nature of your organisation and your cultural business, or the culture of your business, will very much determine what kind of training is going to be most appropriate. You can do base level e-learning, which can be applicable to absolutely everybody. This is fairly easy and quite cheap to do. It can be done from a cloud-based system, or it can be hosted on site. E-learning can sometimes be quite generic and quite wide-reaching, but it's a brilliant easy to use awareness tool that can be applied to absolutely anybody. You can also use face-to-face training, so you can have somebody come in and train your employees. You can have somebody within the business have an understanding of data protection. You can use your data protection officer to run group sessions for groups of employees. As we've mentioned before, this sometimes works really well if you've got a group of people that handle, for instance, subject access requests, or you want to specifically train your HR team in the handling and the management of employment records, or you want to train a specific team on the management of special category information. Very often, face-to-face training is a much better way to train those people because it allows for questions to be asked and it allows for a much greater interaction between the trainee and the trainer. If you're looking for more specialised training, so if you are looking to train up privacy leads, or if you're looking to train up your data protection officer, then I would always recommend that you look to a specialist training provider. There are a number of courses that people can carry out. With a quick Google, you can look at the IAPP, the CIPPE, the CIPPM. You can look at the BCS Certificate in Data Protection, which is an excellent course to do. And there are also independent trainers out there who run courses for data protection officers and run courses for businesses who want to appoint a data protection officer. So there's a number of different routes that somebody can take, but it's really important that you find a training style and a training approach that suits you and your organisation. My main tip here is to make sure that whatever you do, whether you're using e-learning or whether you're using face-to-face training or another kind of system, that you keep the training informative, you keep it engaging, and where possible, you keep it simple and try not to overcomplicate it. Above and beyond, the main point that we're trying to make here today is that training your employees is incredibly important. You can't expect an employee to understand the controls that your organisation has in place and action them accordingly if they've never been taught how to do the things that you're asking them to do, and they've never been taught how to handle information in an appropriate fashion. If there's one thing that you should always do, as I say, it is training, and you need to just determine what's the best approach for you and your organisation. If you'd like more information on training courses and potential solutions, please feel free to visit our website, which you'll see below. And obviously, please do drop us a call or drop us an email, and we'll be happy to help you with any questions. We'll be happy to help you with any training requirements that you have. We look forward to speaking to you again.